All right, Dr. Jose Almeida from Rip Gym coming at you with a new video. And let's talk about vitamins today, specifically the B vitamins. People pretty much recognize B vitamins. So let's get to it. There's water soluble and fat soluble vitamins. Vitamins are all essential, meaning we need to get them from the diet. We cannot produce them in our bodies. And after age 50, we have a hard time absorbing them, so multivitamins come into play. Almost all multivitamins have everything you need nowadays. And in the Western diet, almost all of our foods have vitamins. So vitamin deficiencies are rare, at least in the United States, because of our diet. Of course, in countries, third world countries, they are still around. 13 vitamins that are recognized. They were discovered based on their function, not so much their structure. But there's water soluble, which are the non-Bs like vitamin C. There's the B complex that we'll talk about today, and the fat soluble vitamins A, D, K, and E, which we'll get to another day. And really, I just wanted to focus on a few of the B vitamins that are most familiar. Vitamin B12, vitamin B6, and B9 is folate. All right. Largest number of vitamins are the B complex vitamins, and vitamins in general, they function as cofactors or coenzymes. So we've talked about enzymes before. They're proteins that make reactions happen. They're very complicated proteins, and we need vitamins and minerals to make these enzymes work. We get these vitamins and minerals from the outside. We've all heard of vitamins and minerals since we were kids, and the cereals are fortified with vitamins. Great marketing makes cereals sound healthy. Of course, most cereals are full of sugar. Frosted Flakes, Captain Crunch, these are all pure sugar cereals, but they will get the vitamins. But in general, we'll talk about where we can get vitamins from our foods. Vitamin B12 was the first B vitamin discovered, and really it's discovered because it needs intrinsic factor produced by the parietal cells of the stomach to get absorbed. So you get B12 in the diet, and it gets absorbed in the ileum, which is the terminal part of the small bowel, but it needs intrinsic factor. And it was discovered through a disease called pernicious anemia, where B12 absorption is impaired because of problems with intrinsic factor, antibodies to intrinsic factor. So that's how it was discovered. And in general, our B vitamins deficiencies will produce anemias or blood disorders and neurologic disorders. This one's near and dear to my heart because homocysteine elevation can produce blood clots. I personally have this problem, and it's a problem of methylation. So B12 and B9 or folate are necessary for the production of cysteine, which is an amino acid, a sulfur-containing amino acid for proteins. But if homocysteine is not being converted to cysteine, it will build up in the bloodstream. And when it does that, it becomes poisonous. There's a very common deficiency called MTHFR. It's a genetic deficiency, methyl tetrahydrofolate reductase deficiency, that will produce high levels of homocysteine. This basically leads to endothelial cell injury and blood clots. So similar to what we talked about last time with atherosclerotic disease, how sugars can injure the endothelial lining, as can low-density lipoproteins or LDLs. High levels of homocysteine can also injure the endothelial cell lining of a blood vessel and cause blood clots. So we replace homocysteine. When homocysteine is high, we give vitamin B12 and folate as our supplements to drive these reactions to produce more methionine and thus proteins to bring homocysteine down. So that's a common one, and just shows you how B vitamins are used as cofactors in enzymes, and without them, the enzymes don't function properly. Another interesting one is with fatty acid breakdown. And again, you see how the talks are starting to come together. We've talked about fatty acid oxidation in the past as an energy source. So a 16 carbon fatty acid we've talked about before is a malonyl fatty acid. And without vitamin B12, we get methylmalonyl CoA buildup. So instead of malonyl CoA being placed in our cell membranes, this abnormal methylmalonyl CoA gets deposited in our myelin of our nerves, so we get neuropathies or nerve disorders. So because of fatty acid mutations, because of the lack of B12, we get dysfunctional myelin. Myelin is a covering around our nerves that helps transmit the signal efficiency. People with multiple sclerosis have myelin deficiencies, and therefore their nerves don't work properly. So vitamin B12 deficiency can cause neuropathies or nerve disorders. So that was B12. Let's talk about B6. It's also called peroxidine. B12 is called cobalamin, but B6 is called peroxidine. B9 we mentioned is called folate. But B6, again, is a cofactor for production of our catecholamines. Catecholamines are dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. You probably recognize epinephrine, which is adrenaline. So these are these neurotransmitters that help us produce nerve signals. And without our B6 peroxidine, we have trouble with catecholamine production. People have probably heard of dopamine pathways and serotonin pathways. A lot of the antidepressants are based on serotonin. But all I want to point out here is with a B6 deficiency, our dopamine pathways and serotonin pathways are impaired, and the result are mood disorders or neurologic disorders, so such as mood, memory, processing. All these get affected with vitamin deficiencies. So more of a summary table: vitamin B6 again is peroxidine, B9 folic acid, B12 cobalamin. These are the RDAs, or recommended daily allowances. If you're not getting them through foods, multivitamin will have them. Deficiencies of these vitamins, again, anemias and neuropathies across the board here, different types of anemias and different types of neurologic disorders. If you're a good eater, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're a vegetarian, you may have trouble getting some B vitamins because they're mostly in meat and chicken. But some vegetables, bananas, nuts, leafy vegetables contain these. All right, so that's it for B vitamins. Vitamins in general are necessary. We get them through our diet. We cannot produce them. They act as cofactors or a co-pilot, for example, to an airplane can fly with a pilot, but without the co-pilot, it's not going to fly as efficiently. And that's kind of what vitamins do in their role with enzymes. So we do invite you to come and visit RIP Gym, see one of our trainers. We have independent personal trainers that we work with. They can help you with your training and your diet. I also like to point out that now we're here in May of the year 2017. We're getting into contest season. People are starting to prep for contests. So we'll get into some diet coming up in the next few videos. And Yaxeni's going to be preparing for September, so maybe we'll do some highlights of her as she gets ready for her show and shows how she makes the changes necessary. All right, that's it for now. Jose Almeida, RIP Gym. Thanks for listening.